In the year 60 AD, the queen of the Iceni rose up against the cruel and oppressive invaders who had killed her husband, degraded her, and raped her daughters. The uprising she led, along with her fierce spirit and determination, inspired her people to fight for their freedom and dignity, which ended up with the death of about 70,000 Romans and their allies. Hello everybody, this is Kronos, and today we're going to talk about an incredible warrior queen that rallied her people and took on the Roman Empire. We're talking about none other than Queen Boudica. As we get started, please do us a big favor and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Also, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much. A century after Julius Caesar's conquest of Britain, the indigenous people of England and Wales had suffered under the heavy yoke of Roman subjugation and the constant threat of violent oppression. The Roman campaigns of domination had left deep wounds on the land and the people. During Nero's reign in the year 60 AD, the new governor of the region, Suetonius Paulinius, decided to put an end to the rebel stronghold on the island of Mona, also known as Anglicé. The destruction of Paulinius' troops was not a victory, but a tragedy, as they slaughtered all inhabitants of Anglicé and destroyed the sacred forest of the Druids. At that very same moment, in the present-day counties of Norfolk and Suffolk, Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni, passed away. He had been ruling with the support of the Romans since the Iceni rebellion in 47 AD. In his will, he divided his lands between the Emperor Nero and his daughters to ensure Rome's support of his heirs. However, the Roman procurator Cato Decianus had other plans. He claimed the entire kingdom for Rome, unleashing his troops to pillage and plunder the Iceni lands. The nobles were stripped of their belongings, their families enslaved, and they were forcibly evicted from their ancestral lands. Furthermore, they raped and humiliated Prasutagus' widow, Boudica, also known as Boadicea, and her daughters with the intention of eradicating their lineage. But Boudica's unexpected strength of character and sway over the Iceni surprised the Romans. In addition to being the king's wife, her position as a priestess of the goddess Andraste bestowed upon her great authority. The queen used her position to condemn Roman domination and persuade the Iceni that it was better to fight and die than to continue living under the yoke of oppression. The result was a violent rebellion in which events quickly unfolded. The Iceni and their allies, the Trinovantes, boldly marched towards Camulodunum, known as Colchester, the main Roman colony in the region. With the support of the local Britons, the rebels attacked the city, killing Roman settlers and veterans, looting and burning and destroying buildings down to their foundations. The message was clear. They would stop at nothing to reclaim their freedom and drive the Romans out of their homeland. The march towards London. The Britons, emboldened by their previous victory, saw the city of Londinium as their next target. The Roman legate Quintus Petilius Cyrillus, however, did not underestimate the strength and determination of the rebel forces. He rallied several detachments of the 9th Legion Hispana, known for their exceptional combat skills, to confront the advancing Britons. However, the rebels had been strengthened by new contingents attracted by their earlier victories, and the Romans were practically annihilated. Only Petilius and some cavalry soldiers managed to escape. Paulinius quickly returned to defend Londinium, but it was in vain. The devastation inflicted upon Londinium was nothing short of barbaric. According to the accounts of Tacitus and Dio Cassius, the Britons subjected the city's inhabitants to unspeakable acts of torture and brutality. The violence continued to the city of Verulamium, also known as St. Albans, which was also reduced to ashes. By the time the dust settled, over 70,000 Romans and their allies had lost their lives. Most of them were civilians who had been caught up in the violence. Rome's hold on Britannia was in jeopardy, and the possibility of being expelled from the island was a real and pressing threat. The bloody triumph. Suetonius Paulinius refused to back down but struggled to gather troops. He only managed to assemble 11,000 men from the 14th Legion Gemina and veterans of the 20th Legion Valeria Victrix. With a clever ruse, Suetonius lured the Britons to a narrow terrain near Lichfield, where the Roman army could maximize their tactical advantage over a much larger, some sources even say 230,000 warriors, but poorly organized. And it was there, on that bloody battlefield, that the Queen Boudica rallied her troops for what she believed was a just cause, reminding them that they were fighting for revenge and freedom, and that it was time to win or die. But Suetonius Paulinius would not let his ambition for glory be stifled. He promised his soldiers riches and spoils beyond their wildest dreams if they emerged victorious. The battle was brutal. Despite the overwhelming terror caused by the Britons' chants and shouts, the Roman legions remained resolute, advancing in close formation and unleashing a rain of spears before charging with their swords. With tactical brilliance, the Roman cavalry supported the infantry at the most critical moments, turning the tide of the battle in their favor. When the Britons were pushed to their limits and forced to retreat, they stumbled upon the carts that transported their families, which turned the fighting into a gruesome massacre. Infuriated by the Britons' previous successes, the Romans showed no mercy, exterminating men, women, and children alike in a bloodthirsty orgy of violence. Not even the horses pulling the carts were spared. When the legionnaires finally laid down their arms, over 80,000 Britons lay dead on the battlefield, while only 400 Romans survived. The 14th Legion, whose bravery and strategic prowess played a significant role in the victory, earned the distinguished nickname of Martia Victrix. The year 61 marked a turning point in the history of Britannia. Boudica's rebellion had shaken the foundations of Roman rule, and the reprisals that followed were just as brutal as the uprising itself. The once powerful queen was forced to seek refuge with her daughters, where they tragically chose to commit suicide by poison rather than face capture and humiliation. Meanwhile, Suetonius Paulinius sought to crush any further resistance by completely exterminating the Britons, aiming at wiping out their entire culture. But the authorities in Rome intervened, recognizing the danger of such a heavy-handed approach. Paulinius was relieved of his command, and his successor Publius Petronius Turpilianus took a different approach. Rather than resorting to further violence, Turpilianus sought to win over the local elites, recognizing that without their support, Roman rule in Britannia was unsustainable, and all thanks to the uprising led by Boudica. If you want to watch some more entertaining stories, check out our video of Olga of Kiev, the masterful revenge queen that inspired the character of Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones. On a last note, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Until next time, this is Kronos signing off.